Last week, I told you I was going to say something on this show this week that I've never said out loud, especially not live. And so here it is. For years, I didn't tell people I have ADHD. And everyone assumes that it's shame, that I was embarrassed. And yes, that is part of it. Okay. Part of that is true. I'll own that. And I've said it on episodes before, but that's not the main reason. Okay. The main reason is I didn't think anybody would believe me. And earlier last week, before I shared last week's episode, I had a conversation with my daughter about the little boy who cried wolf. Because we're at that age where if we do something we know we're not supposed to do, no matter how small it is, like, leaving a wrapper in the kitchen instead of putting it in the trash, right? Or something super silly. We're at that age where, we tell a little white lie just to try to protect ourselves. That's what she's doing, right? So we went through the whole boy who cries wolf, and it made me see this in a different way. And I want you to think about, what I would have had to say out loud. Hi, I'm Alyece Smith. I built a six-figure business. I've spoken on a TEDx stage. I run a nonprofit, and I also forget to eat. There's a water bottle I filled up in the other room 4 hours ago and I have no idea where it is. And there is a 3-sentence email I have been avoiding for 3 weeks. How is that even possible? That's not a rhetorical question. That is the exact question I could not answer about myself. So today I'm walking you through the 3 walls that kept me quiet. And stay to the end, because wall number 3 is the one nobody talks about. And I think it's the one keeping you quiet too. Let's dive into it.
Yo. Yo. Yes. Yo, it's Alyece, say it right, no cap. ADHD CEO, yeah, we run this track. Systems that slap, brains built different. We make sales in our sleep, yeah, the hustle's efficient. This ain't fluff, nah, this is strategy raw for the ADHD. Minds breaking every old law. Hit subscribe, don't miss a single show. We're running on dopamine, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, so if you've never watched any of my episodes, you know I'm very casual, okay? This is a conversation between just me and just you. And I want to talk about when somebody hears the word ADHD, do you know what they picture every single time? They picture a little 8-year-old boy bouncing off the walls, can't sit still, getting sent to the principal's office, desk is always a mess, pulled away from other kids, can't sit by their friends. That's the picture. That's it. That's the whole image the world has had for a very long time. And look at me, grown woman, 35 years old, runs multiple organizations, sits still for 12 hours straight when I'm locked in on something, okay? Yes, I got sent to the principal's office. I was that kid who talked too much or got involved in things I shouldn't have got involved in or spoke back, right? But written on every report card was also has so much potential when she learns how to control herself or she stops interrupting. So for years, when I would think about the word ADHD and then myself, those two things did not connect. Not because I was hiding, but because the only picture available to me was the picture of someone else. And what does that do to you? It doesn't just stop you from telling other people, just like the little boy who cries wolf, right? How many times did he claim a wolf? How many times did I tell someone, my mind is racing, I can't control the interrupting, I am not trying to be aggressive or dismissive or defiant. I have a real question. And so I had to get rid of that image before I could even look at my own brain, honestly. And I talk a lot about this in my book, Flow First Thinking. But it wasn't until Caden was diagnosed with autism that I really started to learn more about the misconceptions of neurodivergency. And I had already been told by a doctor that I had ADHD in college. I took myself to a doctor, but I did not address medication or actually believe it was true until I really invested in educating myself for my child. And that's wall 1. And I want you to notice that. That wall wasn't built by me. It was handed to me. And more than likely, if you are an ADHD professional or adult listening to this, you have that wall as well. of like you maybe have been diagnosed, but you don't still fully believe it. Or maybe you are someone listening to this to learn more and you've been diagnosed with something like anxiety or depression. No medical claims, okay? I'm not a doctor, go see your doctor. But you're like, I don't feel like I'm depressed. I don't feel anxious. There's also a wall too here that the contradiction makes you feel like a liar. And this is the one that kept me quiet the longest. ADHD isn't inconsistent, okay? That's the wrong word, and it's the word everybody uses. ADHD is a contradiction. One brain doing two opposite things, and both of them are real. So let me get a little specific here, okay? Because I want you to hear yourself in this. You can walk into a room and read it in 30 seconds. You know your employer is about to, cause serious burnout for you before they know, right? You can look at a client's business and see the exact bottleneck in the conversation. You notice the thing no one else notices. I have done so many episodes around pattern recognition. Now ask yourself, why have you been avoiding one specific task for 3 weeks? Nothing. Your brain has no answer. It's a total blank because pattern recognition points outward. Okay. It does not point inward. You are an incredible diagnostic tool for everyone else's life except your own. Or another one, you can work 12 hours without standing up, without eating, without going to the bathroom, without taking a sip of water. If I'm being honest with you, I do it all the time. But folding one basket of laundry physically feels impossible. Answering a text from someone you love, somebody you take a bullet for, sits there for days. That's not a character issue, okay? That's an interest-based nervous system. Your brain doesn't run on importance. It runs on interest and novelty and urgency and challenge. And nobody explained that to you. So you just kind of assume you're selfish or lazy or a bad friend. And one more, because no one expects this. People think ADHD means we hate structure, and it's the opposite. Most of us desperately need structure. We can't reliably build it ourselves, usually, not without having a third party look at it and tell us what we're not seeing. But that's a completely different problem. And it gets diagnosed as, she just doesn't care. She just is a messy person. Now put all of that in one sentence and try to say it out loud to a coworker. I'm extremely perceptive. And I also can't remember why I walked in the kitchen. I'm highly organized and completely chaotic at the same time in the same week. Do you hear how that sounds? It sounds made up. It sounds like somebody assembling excuses. And I knew that. So I didn't say it because I couldn't prove it and I couldn't explain it. And the second you can't explain what's going on inside of you, what's happening in your own brain, you start to feel like you're crazy or you're lying about it because you're worried about how other people will receive that information. And then someone says the thing, everybody's a little ADHD. I mean, it makes my blood freaking boil when someone says that to me. Or my favorite, but you're so successful though. You're so organized though. Both of those sound like compliments. Neither one of them actually is. What both of them actually mean is I don't believe the hard parts. And once you've heard that a couple of times, you stop volunteering the hard part. You start shutting down. And that kind of leads me to wall number 3. Okay, here's the one I have never said out loud. I grew up in an era where you did not want to be seen as a victim. Okay, you didn't complain. You didn't ask for accommodations. You figured it out. You kept it moving. You definitely did not want anyone feeling sorry for you, and medication was only for people who couldn't control their children. So in my head, saying I have ADHD wasn't information. It was an excuse. It was like me asking for a discount. It was me handing somebody a reason to lower what they expected of me. And as an ADHD woman, and many of you will relate to this, I am a chronic overachiever. I am a chronic award chaser. I have spent my entire life making sure nobody lowered what they expected of me. If I'm being really honest, I've spent my entire life trying to prove people wrong. And I know how that sounds, but that's what my brain thought. And I want to name it plainly because I think a lot of you are sitting in this exact spot right now. The reason you haven't told your boss, your team, your husband, your business partner, it's not that you're ashamed. It's that you cannot figure out how to say it without sounding like you're asking for a pass. Sit with that for a second. It's that you cannot figure out how to say it without sounding like you're asking for a pass. Between those three walls where there's no version of saying it out loud and got me a fair hearing, not one. So I said nothing for years. And, I was just thinking to myself, it's mine, it's private, right? It was a math problem with no good answer. And so what changed? A lot. But when I started learning more about my son's neurodivergency and the spectrum and the symptoms and the correlation between ADHD symptoms and neurodivergency as a whole, I stopped trying to resolve the contradiction. That's it. That's the whole thing. For years, I was trying to explain my brain in a way that made it sound consistent because I thought consistency was the price of being believed. And that's just a game you cannot win because the contradiction is not a bug. It's the system. The contradiction is the system. The goal was never to get rid of one side. The goal is to build a life where both sides have somewhere to exist, where the hyperfocus has a stopping point on the calendar, where the ambition has an actual boundary around it, where the creativity has a container, so it doesn't just leak everywhere and burn everything down. And I've told you before that I burned my first business to the ground, 6 figures a year, and I shut it off like overnight. There was a lot of pieces to that, but I had been spiraling for a while. I struggled with boundaries. I had a client come to me that wanted to cancel, not because of me, but because her son was diagnosed with cancer. And so she was going to be stepping back from her business for a while. So obviously she did not want to drive up marketing. And I took that very personally. And I think that was kind of the final straw, was like, well, I'm not good enough. She's looking to cancel. And I mean, it was not about me. I mean, if anything, she praised me, said she would be back. Her son is doing well now. I'm glad to report that. I don't know that she ever went back into the business full time, though. Something about that journey changed her. But that was the final straw. And I sent emails to all of my clients and said, when your contract's up, I'm done. And it was terrible because I let myself get to that point by people pleasing until I was into the ground. And I just went, nope, I can't do this anymore. That was me running a brain with no container on it and calling the crash, taking it personally, a personal defect. ADHD stopped feeling like 2 operating systems and fighting over the controls when I stopped asking one of them to disappear. And so here's what I want you to do. One thing, pick the wall you're standing behind right now. Just one. Is it the stereotype? You don't look like the picture, so you never take it seriously. Is it the contradiction? You can't explain it, so you don't bring it up? Or is it the victim thing? You don't want anyone lowering the bar for you. I want you to name it out loud in your car to nobody. That's step 1. It's the whole assignment. Then I want you to come tell me on Instagram. I want you to send me a DM on IG at socially.awesome and tell me which wall is yours, okay? I read every single one of these. And honestly, wall 3 is the one I want to hear about because I don't think I'm the only one. And I've never heard anyone else say this. If you have been standing behind one of these walls for years and you're ready to build the container, that's what I do. I help you build the boundaries and the systems and the stopping points. And I've still got that discounted 1-hour call up for people who make it into the end of these episodes. Everything's going to be in the show notes for you. And if you haven't already, grab the copy of my book, Flow First Thinking. Okay. Yep. I've made myself notes. There is going to be a version 2 with some edits, but grab a copy. Okay. You can get it on Audible for less than $10. You can get a paper copy. But if this book makes you feel seen enough for you to start breaking down these walls, it is worth every penny. And I know it will. Absolutely know it will. If you have the book or if you've listened to the Audible, drop it a review, please, on Amazon. It is literally the best compliment you can give. Review this podcast episode. It's free. It costs nothing to leave a review. And I'm telling you, it helps authors and creators not only know what you want to hear more of, what you want to learn more about, but also other people that need to hear this message today. All right. So again, make sure you check the show notes for all the goods. I have got some big things planned for this podcast. I'm not going to share. I'm going to leave you with a little cliffhanger here, but make sure you're subscribed. You're not going to want to miss it. Until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.